This project management training session is on project planning, scheduling, and budgeting and scoping. So today we're looking at what does a project manager have to do in order to plan a project. And planning covers many different things. While there's a lot of processes to cover, it's also about the people and the people on the team and the clients and all the aspects of a project that come together to put together an accurate project plan. So it's not just about the organization of the project, it's about the people as well. So the tools we'll be talking about are related to what tools and what techniques can you use with people to get everybody on board with a plan that's going to work for the project. What we're going to focus on to start with is how do you get a project plan together so that it covers all the aspects that you could possibly think would happen during the project, which sounds an impossibility. But what we do ahead of time is look at some of the what-ifs so that you can plan for those, even if they don't happen or if you can't prevent them, then at least you know how to handle them. So what we're going to demonstrate is the project triangle of needs. And this has three sides, obviously, for a triangle, but the first side is to do with the what of the project, the what of the plan. So if you think about what goes into a plan, you have the project plan, you have the scoping, you have the schedule, you have the budget, you have the tasks, you have the resources, the equipment maybe. All of those things are related to the content of the project. On the procedural side of the triangle, what you have is how are you going to get the project done? So that might be how are you going to make decisions, how are you going to get paid, how are you going to deal with things if there's changes, so what's the change process, and how do you get people involved? So all of the procedural things should be addressed in the project plan. And then finally, which is the area that most people have most trouble with, is how do you cover and develop the relationship side of the triangle in a project plan? Because it seems like it's mostly about, scope. It's about concrete things. It's not about how do you work with each other. But there's things you can put in a plan that will address either establishing a relationship with a new client or with the team who's never worked together, or it's about how do you trust and how do you treat each other. So if we ask ourselves how much time under normal project planning circumstances do you spend on each side of the triangle, the answers that we usually get are we spend at least 75% of the time on the content side and maybe 15% to 20% on the procedural side and then maybe 5% on the relationship side. But if you think about down the road once you're in the project, if something goes wrong, like it's something to do with the scope or there's a change or something is delayed, then what happens is people get upset and then the relationship's harmed. So under those circumstances, people then spend 90% of their time trying to do damage control on the relationship. So part of that is because not enough time was spent in the project planning side to look at how can we establish this relationship or build on it. So we're going to talk about some ways that you can put this triangle together so that it's really equal on each side.